I believe this inner sense of worthiness is the foundation upon which true, unshakable confidence is built. Not the kind that fluctuates with our circumstances, but the kind that remains steady because it's rooted in something deeper.
Hey, I'm Lisa Hugo, and I am obsessed with helping other people find their voices so they can go out and take on the world, be seen as an authority, an expert, and grow their business by sharing that knowledge and expertise with others. Now, I studied performing arts and I spent 20 years of my career traveling the world as a professional singer-songwriter. I teach you the secrets to speak up and be heard, overcome your fears, and then use these skills to build a business and a life that you love and that could change both your own life and the lives of others. This is your one-stop shop for all things that are going to help you to build a life on your terms. This is Impact Through Voice.
Well, hey everybody, and welcome back to the Impact Through Voice podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Hugo, and today, in this very short episode, I want to talk about the difference between confidence and self-worth. So many of the clients that I work with, they come to me and they want to build their confidence. They want to feel more comfortable speaking up in meetings, delivering presentations, or putting themselves out there, even on social media. And while I love helping people to find their confident voice, I've been reflecting on something deeper that might be at play. So today's episode isn't about techniques or strategies. It's more of a reflection I wanted to share because I know many of you struggle with the same things that I do. And maybe what we're seeking isn't just confidence, but it's a deeper sense of self-worth. So let's start by talking about confidence for a moment. We all know what confidence looks like, right? It's that person who can walk into a room and they can command attention. It's speaking without stumbling over your words. It's putting yourself out there without hesitation. But here's the thing about confidence. It's transient. It comes and it goes. There can be days when we feel on top of the world and other days when we feel like we can't drag ourselves out of bed. Confidence connects with our moods, our achievements, our mistakes, our failures, and it can be a complete roller coaster ride. I can remember auditioning for Phantom of the Opera years ago. I remember the waiting room was filled with performers. They were all nervous. You could smell the hairspray in the room. There was nervous energy all around me, and there were these incredibly talented singers and dancers all warming up, stretching their voices, stretching their bodies, going over the sheet music for the songs that they prepared for their audition. And I sat there and I started to question everything about myself. I questioned even what I was wearing. I was in a very simple black dress. I had very simplistic makeup on because when you go for an audition, you want to show up as a version of yourself that the producers can see potential in. And if you overdress, then you can limit that vision. I looked the part of a confident professional. And when it was my turn to go into that audition room, I remember I was very confident. I walked in, I held my head high, I smiled at the auditioners, I handed the pianist my sheet music, I took my place center stage, and I started to sing. I knew the songs that I'd rehearsed over and over again. I gave it my everything. My voice was clear and it was strong. I felt the emotion. And to everybody watching, I was this picture of confidence. But inside, I was having an entirely different experience. With every glance at every other performer, my inner voice grew louder. They're not going to pick you. Look at that woman. She's been in 3 West End shows. Look at him. He trained at Juilliard. You don't have their experience. You don't belong here. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Confidence is what we show the world. Self-worth is what we tell ourselves when nobody is listening. Now, maybe the other performers were also looking at me and they were feeling the same way as I was about them. I'm reading a book at the moment. It's called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. And although I'm just a small way into this book, the topic really resonated with me, so much so that I wanted to share this on the podcast today. Now, I'm going to be clear, this isn't an episode, a book review. I'm not qualified to give you any therapy sessions on today's episode, but I did want to share this topic because I know that so many of you struggle with nervousness and holding yourself back. And so many of us, me included, miss opportunities because we're afraid to put ourselves out there. But my question to you is it that you don't have the confidence? Or is it that deep down you don't feel worthy of success? This reminds me of when I first moved to Dubai back in 2007. Now, before that, I was living in Antwerp in Belgium. There was a great jazz scene there, and I was performing almost every single weekend with my own band. And when we moved to Dubai, there were very few performance opportunities for singers. And I was really frustrated. But there was this one major event that happened every year, and that was the Dubai International Jazz Festival. And it's still running every single year. It was the biggest music event in the UAE at the time. And they brought in major headline acts from all around the world. Right now, it's hard to believe that this was the only musical festival because now there are so many concerts and so many festivals that it's really hard to keep it up, and the music scene is thriving. I remember sitting at my desk one day, staring at the computer screen, my fingers hovering over that send button for an email to the organizers of the Dubai Jazz Festival. Now, part of me thought, why not go big? And the other part thought, they'll never consider you. You're not well known enough. This is a festival for big names. I sent the email anyway, trying to project confidence, but not really believing that I would get a response. Well, to my surprise, I got an appointment with the head organizer of this event. Now, I can still feel that flutter in my stomach as I walked through the doors to their offices. It was really cool in there. I could smell the coffee. I could hear my heels as they clicked on the marble floor. All buildings in the UAE have marble floors. But I was at the height of my nerves. I was very nervous. I can remember this feeling. I got invited into his office, and we started just some small chat. And then he asked me about my experiences, my performances in Europe, and he wanted to see my show reels. Well, the next thing I knew, he was offering me a headline spot with my band from Belgium. They flew all of my musicians in. They gave us a really nice engagement fee. And none of this would have happened if I'd let that inner voice, that feeling of unworthiness, take over. And here's the even more interesting part. Despite all of my doubts, some part of me must have felt worthy, or I wouldn't have reached out in the first place. And that's this complexity of self-worth. It's not always all or nothing. Sometimes it's that tiny voice of worthiness that we need to listen to more than that louder voice of doubt. And this brings me then to imposter syndrome. That feeling like you're a fraud and that someday everybody's going to figure it out. I believe we've all experienced this at some point in our lives. I know I certainly have. And think about leaders who finally reach that level in their career and they've been aiming for, and only to get there and not show up as their full version of themselves. They doubt if they're really worthy of the position, and as a consequence, they don't take risks or show up as the best leader that they can be. They play it safe because deep down, they don't believe they deserve to be there. Or entrepreneurs. How many of us look at our competition and we think, they've got it all together. They're doing it so much better than me. I'll never reach their level of success. we're self-sabotaging our own success because deep down, we don't feel worthy of achieving what others have. Then there are parents who constantly tell themselves, I'm not a good enough mom, I'm not a good enough dad. Even though they're doing their absolute best, they're plagued by feelings of inadequacy, comparing themselves to the seemingly perfect parents at the school pickups or on social media. Now, in my singing career, I experienced something that many performers go through, trying to conform to what the industry wanted rather than valuing who I authentically was. I was never happy with my body, and I was always on a mission to be thin because I believed that that's what the industry demanded. If I could be thinner, more beautiful, I'd get more gigs. And I'd stand in front of the mirror and I'd look at the parts of my body that I thought weren't good enough. I actually starved myself to be skinny. And even when I was excruciatingly thin, I still didn't see it. But that's another topic for another episode. The point is, I didn't feel worthy as I was. I didn't see all the amazing attributes that made me sexy, beautiful, talented, and confident. I let myself be turned and changed because I didn't feel worthy enough as I was. And that's the difference between lacking confidence and lacking self-worth. It wasn't that I didn't believe in my abilities. It was that I didn't believe that I was enough just as I was. So I want you to imagine for a moment how different your life might be if you truly, deeply believed that you were worthy of success, worthy of love, worthy of happiness. Not because of what you've achieved or what you can do for others, but simply because you exist. How would you show up differently in your work if you didn't question whether you deserved your success? How would your relationships transform if you believed that you were worthy of love and respect? How would your communication change if you knew without a doubt that your voice matters? I believe this inner sense of worthiness is the foundation upon which true, unshakable confidence is built. Not the kind that fluctuates with our circumstances, but the kind that remains steady because it's rooted in something deeper. So, as I wrap up today's session, I'm not going to give you steps or strategies. I'm simply going to suggest that if any of this resonates with you, if you want to explore your own sense of self-worth and work on your inner self, maybe go pick up a copy of Worthy by Jamie Kern-Lima and read it alongside of me. Let's go on this journey together because I'm still reading this book. Let's take the journey together. I really believe that when we heal our relationship with ourselves, when we recognize our inherent worth, everything else changes. The way we speak, the way we lead, the way we create, the way we love, it all transforms. And maybe, just maybe that confidence that we've been chasing all along is going to naturally emerge when we finally believe we are worthy. All right, my friends, thank you for listening to this episode of the Impact Through Voice podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with somebody who might need to hear it. And until next time, just remember, your voice matters because you matter.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Impact Through Voice podcast. Now, if you've reached the end of this episode, then it means you're enjoying the podcast. So I have a quick favor to ask. If you haven't yet subscribed, please go and do it now and even leave us a review because it really does help us so much to reach more people and impact more people. And I would be very, very grateful. Now, I love to read all of your comments about the show and what you're enjoying, what you would like to hear more more of. So please take the time and go and do that now. When you do that, please take a screenshot and then tag me on Facebook or Instagram. That's Lisa Hugo Official. I'm going to be sure to share your post, and I'm also going to private DM you with a thank you. And it also means you won't miss an episode. And as a subscriber, then you're going to get access to more content that we don't even open up to everybody. So thanks again. And until next time, keep on working towards your goals and making a positive impact on the world with your voice.